independent power producers and treated government to pay 80% of the 1 billion debt. Otherwise, their businesses will collapse. You recall that during the erstwhile NDC government, Parliament of the Republic of Ghana passed the Energy Sector Levy Act and imposed taxes intentioned to pay off the debt. Your government, on assumption of office, securitized receivables from the energy sector levy for 15 years to pay off the debt. But as we speak, we are aware that the debt is ballooning, and we are told that if we are not careful, by 2023, it will be difficult to even run the sector. In fact, as we speak, the sector, in terms of debt, is verging on collapse. How do you propose to resuscitate this very important sector to engender economic growth in the coming years?
Thank you. Basically, the problem is this. If all the monies that we pay for our utility bills is given to the providers of the service, the distributors, the wheelers or transmitters, the energy producers, and their fuel cost, we don't collect enough to meet our requirements. And like I said to the honorable member, at the end of the selling point, we pay more than everybody in this country, in the West Africa sub-region. But from the beginning point, we seem to have higher costs than everybody as well. The pay or take contracts, the excess power that we pay for in a year, which we don't consume, is more than $500 million. So we need to, like I said, sit down passionately with everybody, unbundle everything, expose ourselves to IPPs, the transmitters, and sit down and say, hey, if we don't change, we don't reform, we don't agree on certain parameters, we would all collapse. We will all collapse. It's frankly so. Like you said, by 2023, if nothing else dramatically is done, the debt situation will hit 12.5 billion. And it's serious. So we have to sit down, cool heads with everybody. You cannot overfeed, oversuckle, or you can't produce more milk than energy you can take in. So we have to look at it. If you pass me, it is one of the issues that I think we all have to think about.
The cost of acquiring a meter from ECG is very high in the rural communities. I recall when, in November, somebody contacted me to ensure that he gets a meter. Contacted. I engaged the officers in charge, and the cost was estimated around 600 Ghana cedis. How can an ordinary Ghanaian in a rural community be able to afford this, knowing very well that impressive and effective economic life is anchored on electricity? If you don't have electricity, life is something else. What do you think can be done to make some of these basic things affordable to the ordinary Ghanaian?
Thank you. I think we have to think about things differently. We have been buying meters from those who sell meters. Some companies produce here, some also import the meters. ECG or Ministry of Energy buys these meters, and they are not able to buy enough. What about we thinking, changing things differently? zoning various big areas and giving it on concession basis to meter providers, asking them to provide the meter for all the place and get their charges through the prepayment system. Definitely, definitely. We have to think about the solutions differently because the situation that has existed in the last 20 years is not working. And that solution is simply ECG or Ministry of Energy buying, and they never have enough to buy, money enough to buy enough to stop, to fulfill their obligations. And it's not working. So we have to think about different ways of getting the meters. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Yes, Honorable Abdejay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable, congratulations. I think in your earlier statement, when the first speaker put a question on you on our energy efficiency, you underscore the fact that with our current industrialization drive, there is the need to have the right energy mix and it should be efficient. May I know your stand on the addition of nuclear energy to Ghana's energy mix? Nuclear.
My stand.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't think my stand matters very much here because the government of the Republic of Ghana since 2000, when the Ajay Committee was commissioned by President Kufuor, every government that has come has promoted or pushed the agenda of nuclear power. We currently are at a stage that we've gone past the first stage where we have produced a comprehensive baseline report. Currently, I'm informed that where we are, we must select a vendor. The selection of the vendor may mean so many things. It will decide on the technology, and it will decide on the training that we can give Ghanaians to come and manage the system. And there's a lag phase with that, because the training takes some time. So if we don't select the vendor clearly and very early, it will delay the progress. But I think that we are at a time when we've all decided that probably we should try nuclear power. It is the safest and cleanest form of energy.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nominee, the discovery of oil in commercial quantities have actually attracted a number of Ghanaians, both home and abroad, to pursue courses in oil and gas. My observation is the supply side far exceeds the demand, either because they don't acquire the right skills in oil and gas, or the market size is too small to absorb them. Honorable Minister Designate, if you share in my observation, if given the nod, how do you intend to address this inequality in the sector to ensure that Ghanaians trained in oil and gas will have enhanced opportunities to secure jobs? Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think we are at a stage where the supply side and demand sides are going in opposite direction. I do recall at Ministry of Education realizing that over 1,000 Ghanaians were trained in oil and gas. I do know that the oil and gas capacity building project contract is still going on. What we may have to understand is that a lot of people train in oil and gas, but not in the right areas where they can get probably employment. And the capacity building program, accelerated capacity building program in the oil and gas industry, probably hasn't also done much for us. I know of a lot of technical institutions and universities that the oil and gas sector has supported. But to be truth to be told, nobody will go and put a welder on his rig, a $1 billion rig, who is not certified. And that certification is just like professionalization courses. The fact that your institution is not accredited. When you go there and get the best training, you wouldn't have the certificate to enable you to participate in the industry. So I think discussions must be had that we might need a dedicated institution that will resource with the right equipment, but also get the necessary accreditation for that industry or for that institution. Other than that, the jobs that are there, that are always there, will be played by foreigners. And Ghanaians will not enjoy, irrespective of the local content. If you don't have the certification, you cannot enjoy. So that is one area we have to do, getting accredited institutions to train and certify the right people for the industry.
Thank you, Honorable Minister Designate. What I want to follow up with is the question that what exactly will you do to ensure that we get the right, people pursue the right discipline and then the certification that you require?
Thank you. I'm coming from one ministry where the government agenda was a technical vocational education and training, and this necessary certification. So I'll work with the industry to get the right accreditation in-house. There are big institutions that provide the certified training, like Siemens. If you do get a Siemens accredited facility here, then everybody who is going through that facility will get the right certification. As we speak, we don't have anything like that, and that is where the disjunct is. And that is what we must pursue. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Agala.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker, Chairman. My question flows directly from Article 35(7) of the Constitution. That provision makes it imperative for governments to continue and execute projects and programs commenced by previous governments. Now, I'd like to relate this to electricity coverage in our country. Specifically, the Upper East region is lagging behind in terms of connectivity to the national grid. And so in 2014, 2015, 2016, conscious efforts was made to connect communities in our part of the country to the national grid. I can cite numerous examples. If you go to the Bulsa North constituency where I'm MP, several communities were beginning to see some progress in terms of works that were being done. And then in 2016, power changed and the new Patriotic Party government took over the reins of government. Since then, works have stalled from 2016 till date. Now, Dr. Prempeh, if you get the nod, what do you intend to do to ensure that abandoned projects in the Upper East region sees the day of light? I am particularly concerned because the record of this government for the past 4 years in terms of electricity coverage has not been too impressive. We added only about 1.3% to our national average. If we just oppose that with the achievements we chalked from 2008, we're at 56%, but by 2016, the figure shot up to about 83%. What that means is that we need some policy orientation when you get to the ministry to ensure that we achieve universal coverage in the country. So what do you intend to do?
Thank you, honorable colleague. I would like to describe it as a government's abysmal or a government's behavior. I come from a region where 4 years ago, there was electrification project going on in certain areas, where 4 years it has stalled. Yes, in Ashanti region, just as Upper East region, rural electrification projects have stalled. It's not because government intends. It's because the more you electrify, you leave out the harder to reach areas where it is very difficult to reach because you go and there are only 5 huts, and it's a very far distance also to go. So we need to mobilize more, and we need to introduce in the meantime off-grid programs to support those programs till we can electrify over these long areas. When I spoke to NEDCO, 64% of their customers are on lifeline, really meaning electricity is just one light up for I don't know, for sleeping or something. So NEDCO is dead, in that it doesn't get even the resources from its operation, and it covers seriously wide areas than even in the south. So we have to look at introducing off-grid solutions to some of these rural communities and gradually take electricity. From 2000, as far as we recall in this house, all our electrification, or most of our electrification projects, have been done through loans, or what we call the SHEP, self-help electrification projects. And government hasn't stopped it so far. But sometimes prices and things affect these programs, and contractors are not able to deliver as they promised in these contracts. So we'll have to look at it and make sure.
Chairman, sorry. So, Minister, currently we are 83%. We must have a national ambition to achieve 100%. When you become minister, will you work towards the attainment of universal access to electricity, particularly taking cognizance of Wiaga, Sandema, Wale area?
Exactly my response, yes.
You're done. Very well.
We're going to
Yes.
ask the minister how many years? We are 83%, we are in 2021. Give us a time period that Ghanaians should expect that as minister, you would have achieved universal access to rural electrification, up in the 83%, time limits.
I think universal access for electricity is part of our goals, the sustainable development goals. But it may not necessarily be great electricity or great energy. As I said, it includes a lot of solar systems. The first 2 megawatt solar system was in Upper East, around Navrongo. So the different mix, that's what we are heading towards, by energy for all by 2030.
Yes, Honorable Susu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable nominee, one of the general criticisms of your party by watchers and partakers in the industry has been that in the last 4 years, you have not been able to embark on any major project that is aimed at adding some megawatts of power to the existing capacity that we have in the country. Now, the only major effort that has begun is when government signed $200 million agreement to construct a 100 megawatts tidal power plant at Ada for 24 months with sea base. However, as at today, no activity has been undertaken to realize this promise that your government undertook to begin. Can you assure the people of Ghana and indeed this committee that when confirmed, you would take some definite steps to adding to our generation capacity?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, in the last 4 years, our problem has not been generation capacity. In fact, we have plants that are ready to produce here that we don't even consume. We have about 5.2 gigawatts of installed power that at peak time using less than 3 gigawatts. The problem to encourage more people to come into the system to generate is also to ensure that you generate at the rate we can pay for. And it's all part of what we have to do as the energy sector. Because if nobody would come to put a plant there, when others' plants are not working because of high costs, and also they claim they are not getting the cost-reflective tariffs. So we have to, like I said, the word I want to use is to unbundle the whole power sector and start from the first basis and reconstruct it, including probably renegotiating of our pay or take, or pay and take tariffs and everything else.
Are there some timelines?
That's why I'm saying that in the next 3 years, we are not short of generation. That is even in situ. But by 2025, we should be generating and adding more of the mixture too. We have abundance of fuel in the west part of the country that belongs to Ghana. But still, we are marked in bad contracts that we have to renegotiate. And I'm sure as soon as, and it's already started, I'm not the one going to start it. It's already started already. And once we get on top of that, I think Ghana can be a net exporter of even energy in the ECOWAS subregion.
Honorable Gisela, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of towns, a lot of towns and villages without good community lighting are a breeding ground for crimes and other vices.
Go closer to the mic, please.
I'm doing so. A lot of towns and villages without good community lighting are a breeding ground for vices and other miscreant activities, and are generally unsafe. Occasionally, streetlights are shared before elections as enticements to the populace for votes. Some are stored, some are removed when people do not vote for the people who offered them. What will be your pragmatic policy direction on street lighting in the country, especially to curb crimes and so on?
We have to look at the street lighting issue. The distribution companies claim we don't pay enough for street lights. That's their first complaint. 2, street lights are not metered. And they don't know how much they consume. And 3, the levy for street lighting is not given enough. 4, the distribution companies basically are not involved in doing the street lighting projects, but are asked to maintain. They claim it doesn't help them plan very well in the new settlements or peri-urban settlements on how to engage them. We have to look at the whole street lighting. In Accra or Kumasi, we always see cars repairing street lights and changing street lights and street bulbs. And within a few weeks or months, the streets are done. I don't really know if it's I think it was President Mahama who lighted the N1 motorway, and within a twinkle of an eye, all the lights, the bulbs were gone. I don't know.
Honorable Minister, have you found out what went wrong?
Is that
within a twinkle of an eye, all the lights were off?
Yes, we're slowly.
Have you found out before coming here what happened?
No, that's what I'm saying, that we have to sit down when I get
I have information to share.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Steal the key.
We also looked at some careers in science and their related subjects.
I knew it.
How much drama can you enjoy? See it feely with HD Plus. Get the best companion for your